Okay, so continuing the work here on the underdash, I'm gonna install the ducting. They send you two different hoses, two different diameters. The smaller one is for the defrost. There's two vents that come out of the evaporator box that connect to the defrost. And they send you these a little bit longer because they're made to fit. So you cut them whatever length you need them. And the same thing that goes for the top one, the bigger diameter, that is actually for the 3 vents. So that one will be cut in 3 pieces. It stretches out a lot longer than that, and then it just kind of squeezes over the vent itself. So on the side vents, it has these adapters right here, and they go, excuse me, they go right over right there like that. And then the hose itself goes just pressed in the back. And this little adapter is held on with these S clips. So you put 3 S clips on the adapter, and then you just clip it on to the original AC vent. And then the hose itself, it just goes pressed over here, and these little tabs, you see them, there's 3 tabs, they hold the hose on. So once you put the hose over it, it'll hold it on. On the evaporator, kind of hard to see, but here's one vent here, and there's one right next to it. Let me see if I can get in there. There it is. Those are for the smaller 2 hoses, and they go connected just right here to the defrost. That's for the defrost. And then the other 3 hoses, they come off the end of the evaporator box, which are those 3 right there. And it doesn't matter which one goes where. So whichever one is the easiest. So the top one, I'm gonna put it to the passenger side, the middle one to the middle here on the dash vent, and then that last one, I'll probably route it to the driver's side. Maybe, I don't know, I haven't decided yet, but these don't have a sequence. So that's it for the hoses. I'm gonna cut them, I'm gonna measure them, and I'm gonna install them, and then I'll bring you back and show you how I route it. Okay, so I routed the hoses for the vents. I guess we'll start with the defrost ones. So this outside defrost one, is this one right here, straight up, boom. And then the one right behind it, can't really see it anymore, but it's this one. This one here is on the other vent for the defrost. And the passenger side one, I routed it behind the bracket, behind the defrost, and gosh, you can't really see much in there, but you see the 3 vents there. The bottom one doesn't have anything. So the passenger side is on the top, the driver's side is in the middle. So the driver's side, I routed it behind these brackets here, right there. And the bottom one, the bottom vent here is gonna go to the vent right here in the center. So for that, I need to figure out a way to, excuse me. Secure this piece here to there. So there's some holes right there on the vent. This is not a 64 vent, it's a 63 vent. It's made out of metal, and I painted it. I just painted it red, kept the front face of it chrome. But anyways, this kit fits right over it, which is great. So it's gonna be super easy to secure it. I think I'm just gonna use these holes right here. Just drill a small hole here on each side, and then just screw it onto there, and that should keep it just fine. Right there. But anyways, this last hose goes to the bottom of the evaporator. That's where it goes the easiest. So that's it for the for the hoses on the evaporator. At this point, the only thing the evaporator needs is to be wired up. And it has these two connections here. This is the ECU of the whole unit, and one comes out of here and one comes out of here. One goes to the controls, which I'm gonna wire up later. These controls are actually gonna control the whole thing, but I'll bring y'all back to that later. This other part of the ECU, this one is to wire up and turn on the whole thing. So you wire up your trinary switch, your computer, your ignition, the ground, and all that other fun stuff. This one here is just for the blower. Should be another one hanging. Yeah, here it is. On the bottom. This one goes to the harness that goes connected here on this side of the ECU. So right now, what I'm trying to focus on doing is getting all the grunt work done, installing all the hoses, and then leaving the wiring for last. So it looks like I got most of this done already under here. So now I gotta add my heater hoses to the front and run the AC lines. So I'll bring y'all back. Okay, so I had to go buy some heater hoses. This kit does not come with heater hoses, and they are 5/8 heater hoses. So your top heater hose up here is your pressure side, and the bottom is just the out. And this setup here I have in my engine, this is a LT Gen 5 engine, but it has a Gen 4 LS serpentine kit and water pump. So the water pump is out of an LS, and the LS water pump has two outlets that are right next to each other. So the one furthest to the firewall or in the back is your pressure side, and the one closest to the front of the car is just the end. So pressure on the left, if you're looking at it from here, or pressure to closest to the firewall, and then pressure on the vintage air kit is on top. So that's real important. Both hoses coming out of the vintage air are 5/8, and unfortunately on the LS only one of them is 5/8, which is the pressure side. The other side is 3/4 inch. So I wallowed out the hose just a little bit, and I put a little bit of lubricant, and I was able to slide it over the 3/4. These are the hoses. Yes, those are zip ties, and they are temporary. So I just put them on right now to keep them straight in line with the fender. They actually don't look bad, but I'm not gonna leave that there. I already ordered some I don't even know what they're called, honestly, but they hold the 5/8 hose, and they're really nice. They're made out of billet. I got them from CPP. I'll put the link up, but those go screwed onto the fender well, and it holds the hose a little bit lower than that. Well, they're just a little bit straighter, and it looks cleaner with those billet hold downs. I guess that's what they're called. But anyways, that's how the hoses are routed. And next, I gotta put in my AC lines. So you can buy this kit in two ways. You can buy the kit with the AC lines already crimped and cut, and they'll land wherever they want to land, you know. However, vintage air feels they look the best. Or they sell the kit made to fit AC lines. So they sell you extra long AC lines with a whole bunch of fittings, and then you make your own kits. So over here on the dryer, we have a number 6 hose and a number 8. So it's a skinny one and then a medium one. So that little skinny hose, or hard line, I should say, you see it down there? There's a 6 and an 8. That little skinny one goes right here to this skinny one, right? And then the number 8 hard line coming out of the condenser, it goes right here to straight to the compressor. And then this big boy here is the number 10. This is a suction line. The number 10 suction line goes to the number 10 over here off of the evaporator box. So I don't know how they're sold, you know, with the lines I already made or crimped. but you don't have a lot of options as far as where they're gonna land once you start installing them. So this is what the made to fit kit looks like. It's kind of scary, honestly, because you gotta mark and crimp everything. I'm not gonna crimp them myself, but I am gonna route them and mark them where they need to be crimped. So here is 3 different size hoses, which is the sizes I just explained: the number 6, the number 8, and the number 10. The number 6 obviously being the skinniest one. This is the number. Is this the 8? No, this is the 10, and then this one is the 8. Actually, this one is the 8. So these fittings have a whole lot of angles on them. They got 45s, they got 90s, they got straights. So depending on where I can figure how to route these things is the fitting I'm gonna use at the end of the hose. And then I'm gonna mark the hose to the fitting to where it needs to be crimped. So I haven't figured out where to route anything yet, but I'm gonna try to keep it as clean as possible, like I did with the heater hoses. And I could possibly run them behind the fender, which would be great. And then the only one I would have showing up top would be this number 8 right here, right down there under the battery. So hopefully I can pull that off. But I'm gonna start to route them now, and then I'll bring y'all back and let you know what I figured out. So I got my AC lines routed, and look pretty good. I was actually able to run them behind the fender like I had kind of thought. So both of the lines are behind the fender here, and then they go under the battery box, and then one of them comes up over here to the low side, and you can kind of see it down here. Let me see. Okay, there it is, the bigger one. It goes under the battery, under over here, and then it goes behind the brackets here, and then it comes up to the hard line. On this one, it is routed to the hard line on the condenser. I don't know if it's gonna show or not. I used a 45 on the top, and then the bottom one I used a 90 degree. That's that skinny one, the number 6 that goes through the firewall. And then that one is also, that's it right there, the skinny one. That one is also routed the same behind the fender, or the fender well I should say, between the fender and the fender well. And it comes out right here to this one. So I gotta mark everything now. I gotta mark the hoses. As you can see, this one, well, I got it really bad glare, but I kind of marked it already. So I'm gonna mark them. I'm gonna put 2 marks, and those marks are just gonna show where they need to be crimped. So really that's it for the front. So again, mark all the lines, crimp them, install them again, and that should be it for the front. So now all that's left to do after crimping that is just wiring up the ECU on the evaporator box, and then wiring up the control panel, which I'm gonna do next. So this one is really interesting. I really like the way they got it set up to use the factory controls right there. And after reading the instructions, it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna walk y'all through that through and through so you can see how that works. But everything so far is pretty good. So as long as I get the lines crimped and install everything back on. Oh, I also need to run my my drain, which is down here at the bottom. The water drain is this one right. Where is it at? This one. I need to run that hose. It called to drill a hole in the firewall, and again, don't want to do that. So I need to run that drain probably out that way and then to the bottom over there somewhere. I don't know. I'll show y'all when I figure it out. But it's getting close, so I'll bring y'all back when I wire up the controls and then wire up the whole the whole thing. So stay tuned.